The year was 2137. Earth had changed a lot since the 21st century. Climate problems were mostly solved, cities were smarter, and space travel had become part of normal life. Humans had outposts on Mars, mining stations on the Moon, and a permanent research base on Europa. Still, deep space was mostly empty, or so they thought. Captain Arya Malik stood on the bridge of the United Earth ship Horizon's Edge. It was the first ship built for long-range missions beyond the solar system. Powered by a new fusion engine, it could travel faster than anything humans had built before. The mission was simple: explore nearby star systems, collect data, and look for signs of life. Nobody truly expected to find anything, till the signal came. It was a soft, steady pulse from a nearby star system called Kepler 2-186. The signal repeated every 42 seconds. At first, the scientists thought it was natural, maybe a pulsar or interference, but the pattern was too perfect. The message wasn't in words, but it followed a mathematical rhythm. Prime numbers, repeating patterns, then a pause, then it would start again. It wasn't noise. It was a message. The crew of Horizon's Edge gathered in the main hall as Arya stood before them. "We didn't come here expecting contact," she said, "but if this signal is what it seems, we're not alone. We need to follow it." Excitement and fear moved through the crew like a quiet wave. Most had trained for emergencies, but not for this. Still, they knew their duty. The ship changed course and headed toward the source of the signal. 3 days later, they entered orbit around a planet named Kepler 1-86f. It was Earth-like, with oceans, clouds, and land. But what surprised them most was the large satellite. Stationed orbiting the planet, it was not human-made. It was a massive ring structure with slow-moving parts. It looked old but still active. Lights blinked in sequences that matched the signal they had received. No one spoke for a moment as the ring turned silently in space. Arya ordered a scan. The station responded. It sent a new signal, this one much clearer. It was a series of images, diagrams of their own ship, pictures of Earth's location. They were being studied in return. Someone knew they were there. Back on Earth, news of the signal had already spread. The United Earth Council formed a special communication team. Other global powers grew nervous. Is this contact friendly? Or the start of something more dangerous? The next day, the alien station sent another message. This one showed images of ships, big ones, armed. Then a map, with red lines pointing toward the edge of the Kepler system. Arya and her science officer studied it for hours. It was a warning. Someone else was coming. Humanity had always wondered if it was alone. Now, they had proof that not only were they not alone, but they were not the only ones watching. Somewhere beyond the stars, a silent standoff had begun. Captain Arya Malik sat quietly in her chair on the bridge of Horizon's Edge, staring at the alien ring outside. The station floated without sound, as if watching them. The crew worked carefully, scanning every part of it, but no one dared get to close. They didn't know what would happen if they pushed too far. The images sent from the alien station still filled the screens in the science lab. Diagrams of armed ships, a map with red lines.
One image showed the planet below with
strange symbols marked on the continents. The ship's computer couldn't translate the language, but the shapes suggested warning zones or areas under control. Arya guessed these might be territory markers. The aliens were showing what belonged to them, and who they might be defending. It from Lieutenant Pavel, the communications officer, tried to send a friendly response. Simple shapes, peaceful signals, and a return of the same star maps. At first there was no reply. Then the ring began to rotate faster. More blinking lights appeared on its outer edges. A new signal arrived, but this time it wasn't from the ring. It came from farther out, beyond the system's edge. The signal was sharp, fast, and filled with encrypted data. It wasn't like the first one. It felt rushed, like someone trying to hide what they were saying. The signal bounced through the system before reaching Horizon's Edge. When decoded, the message showed an entirely different symbol, something new, a triangle with a line through it. and a single word in many human languages, including English, observe. That one word brought silence to the bridge. It was clear now someone else was watching this first contact, not the ones who built the ring. Someone else. And they knew humans were there. Arya ordered the crew to double their scans. Within hours, they found something barely visible on sensors. A small, dark object floating just outside the orbit of Kepler 186f. It didn't move, didn't send signals, and tried to avoid detection. But it was there. A stealth ship. The ship was not of Earth. It was too smooth, too quiet, and its surface absorbed radar. It was hiding, waiting. Arya made a decision. She would not confront it, not yet. Instead, she sent a drone toward the object, broadcasting peaceful signals. The drone reached within 100 kilometers when it simply vanished. No explosion, no warning. 1 second it was there, the next it was gone. Arya stood up, her jaw tight. "We are not alone," she said. "Someone doesn't want us here." Back on Earth, the Council faced pressure from every major nation. The images had reached home. People were scared. Military leaders pushed for stronger action, while scientists urged for patience. The cold silence from the stars made everyone nervous. No shots had been fired, but the feeling was the same, like two sides staring across a border, waiting for the other to blink. Arya knew this wasn't just an exploration mission anymore. This was politics. This was strategy. If they made the wrong move, they could start something no one could stop. She gave strict orders. No further movement near the stealth ship. No more drone launches, and no attempts to land on the planet below. For now, they would wait. Watch, learn, and far beyond. In the shadows of space, something else waited too. The days passed slowly aboard the horizon's edge. Every crew member stayed alert. Though no direct threat had come, the silence itself felt heavy. The alien ring station continued to send harmless signals. The strange stealth ship beyond the planet remained still, hidden in the dark. It was like standing in a room full of people, all pretending not to notice each other. Captain Arya Malik knew the mission had changed. She spent hours studying the maps and signals, working with her science and strategy teams. They had to understand the situation before making any move. One mistake could cause a chain of events no one wanted. Dr. Yusuf Rana, the ship's lead xenologist, made a breakthrough. After comparing thousands of frames from the alien signal, he noticed something strange. The patterns matched old mathematical codes used in early human computing, almost too familiar. The message was not just alien. It had been adapted to be readable by humans. Someone had prepared for humans to find it. Arya listened carefully as Yusuf explained his theory. "Knew we were coming," he said. "This wasn't a random signal. It was bait. They left it for someone like us to find." The idea shocked the crew. If the signal was a trap or a test, then everything they were doing might be expected. Arya began to wonder if the stealth ship was not just observing, but judging. Meanwhile, Earth sent new instructions. United Earth Council had voted to launch a second ship, a military-class vessel named Defender 1. It would take weeks to arrive, but its mission was clear: provide protection if things turned hostile. Arya felt pressure rising from both sides, wanting strength, and the unknown watchers wanting caution. She met with her crew in the strategy room. The tension in their faces was clear. "We won't fire unless we're fired upon," Arya said firmly, "but we won't be blind. Prepare the ship's defenses. Quietly, I want the stealth systems ready too." The crew obeyed without question. Shields were charged. Sensors were tuned to full range. Communication stayed calm and respectful. But every team now had backup plans if something went wrong. Then, without warning, the alien ring station began to move. Slowly, it turned until a large opening faced toward space. A soft humming noise filled the bridge, even though there was no sound in space. A small object came out from the ring, a pod-shaped craft. Drifted slowly toward horizon's edge. No weapons. No signals. Just movement. Arya stood still, eyes fixed on the screen. "Track it. Don't fire. Don't move," she ordered. The pod stopped a few kilometers away. Then, it began broadcasting a sequence of lights. Again, they followed a clear pattern one. Humans could read prime numbers, then geometry. After a few cycles, the pod sent something different. A picture it was of humans, not real photos, but clear images of human forms. Men, women, children. The style was different, but the meaning was clear. Someone had studied humanity closely, maybe for years. The message was not a threat. It was something else: recognition. Arya stared at the images for a long time. The aliens knew who they were. They had expected them. But why now? Why here? She turned to her officers. They're not asking us to leave. They're asking us to respond. That night, Arya stayed awake in her quarters, thinking. Whoever they were, they had the power to watch in silence, to wait in darkness, and to learn everything without being seen. And they had finally reached out. But still, no voice had spoken. No name had been given. It was not a war yet. The image of humans, sent by the alien pod, stayed on the screens of Horizon's Edge for hours. It was not a trick or a test. It was clear now. The aliens knew about humanity. They had studied Earth. The message was not just recognition. It was an invitation to speak. Captain Arya Malik walked the quiet hallways of the ship, thinking deeply. No one had fired a weapon. No demands were made. But the silence between each message felt louder than any words. Someone was waiting for a reply. Arya had to decide how to answer. She met with Dr. Yusuf Rana and Lieutenant Pavel again in the command room. Together, they discussed the next step. They had no translator, no shared language, but the aliens were using math and pictures. Yusuf believed they could send images back, clear ones, showing peaceful human actions like greetings. Working together in family, Arya agreed. We'll reply with what matters most. Not power, not weapons. Humanity. The team worked quickly, choosing images that showed human life, art, music, science, and peace. They added pictures of the solar system, Earth, and even simple drawings of hands reaching out. The message was sent. For nearly a full day, there was no reply. The pod stayed still in space, and the alien ring showed no change. Tension returned to the ship like a heavy blanket. Crew members tried to stay busy, but the silence was tiring. Everyone was waiting for a sign. Then, without warning, the alien ring came alive again. Lights moved across its surface in waves. A new signal came through. Not just lights or images, but a short video. The crew watched in silence as shapes moved across the screen. The video showed two planets orbiting a red star. On one planet, cities grew and spread, full of tall structures and machines. The other planet was dark and quiet. Then, from the second planet, ships began to launch. They moved toward the first planet in great numbers. The message was clear: war. Explosions followed. The cities burned. Ships were destroyed. The last part of the video showed both planets quiet again, empty and cold. And then came one final image, the alien ring, floating in space. Dr. Yusuf whispered, "They're warning us." Arya nodded slowly. This isn't just history, it's a lesson. The aliens weren't simply showing who they were telling a story of how war destroyed their world, and how the ring was all that remained. Before the crew could respond, another signal appeared, this one short and direct. A symbol of the human ship appeared, then a line connecting it to the alien ring. Below it, three simple shapes: a circle, a triangle, and a square. Arya and her team studied it for hours. Yusuf believed the aliens were offering a meeting, a shared location for peaceful contact. Arya didn't like guessing, but something inside her said this was the next step. She called a full meeting. "We came to explore," she told the crew. "We didn't expect this, but if we back away now, we might never get this chance again. We'll approach the meeting point. No weapons, just us." The crew nodded. They had come too far to stop now. As the ship moved slowly toward the marked zone, Arya kept her eyes on the quiet stars around them. The stealth ship was still out there, watching. It hadn't moved, hadn't sent anything, but Arya felt its presence like a shadow behind her. Something else was still hiding in the dark, and whatever it wasn't part of the message of peace. The horizon's edge moved slowly toward the marked zone in orbit, guided only by trust and careful hope. The alien ring was quiet again, watching without words. The small pod that had first sent the human images drifted behind the ship, as if escorting them. The crew remained calm, but every second felt longer than the last. Captain Arya Malik stood in the center of the bridge, eyes focused on the dark space ahead. She was not afraid, but she was alert. This moment was unlike anything humanity had faced before. They were about to meet something not from Earth, not from anywhere they understood, at the center of the marked zone. Nothing waited. No ships, no stations, just space. But then a shimmer passed through the area, like a curtain being pulled back. A small structure became visible, a floating platform of metal and stone, shaped like a giant disc. It had no lights, no signs, no movement. The ship scanned the platform, showed no weapons, no power fields, no danger. Arya made her decision. Prepare the shuttle. I'll go myself, she said. Small team only. This needs to be face-to-face. Lieutenant Pavel and Dr. Yusef joined her. The rest of the crew watched from the bridge as the shuttle launched and drifted toward the platform. It docked without trouble. The airlock opened with a soft hiss. Inside the structure was a narrow hallway that led to a single large room. The room was round and empty. The walls were smooth and gray, almost like stone, but warmer. In the center was a large circular table. Around it were 6 seats. Arya, Pavel, and Yusef stepped forward, then stopped. They were not alone. Across the table stood 3 beings. They were tall and thin, with long arms and legs. Their faces were smooth, with no mouth, just 2 black eyes that blinked slowly. They wore dark suits that looked part machine, part fabric. They made no sound. Dr. Yusef raised a hand slowly in greeting. One of the beings copied the motion. Then, another being placed a small box on the table. It lit up with a soft pulse. Symbols floated above it, simple ones that matched the messages from before. The alien sat down. Arya and her team followed. The box created new symbols, then played back the images Earth had sent earlier. Then came the alien message again, the story of their 2 planets, the war, the silence that followed. Then a new image appeared, a symbol of the stealth ship. And this time, the triangle was marked in red. Arya leaned forward. They know who the Watcher is, she said quietly. And they're warning us. The alien placed another object on the table, a small cube-like device. The alien pushed it forward. Arya looked at it closely. It was a data core. Dr. Yusef scanned it with a portable reader. It held thousands of files, maps, language keys, histories. They're sharing everything, Yusef whispered. They want us to understand. The aliens stood up. They bowed their heads once, then stepped back into the shadows. A soft hum filled the room. When it faded, the beings were gone. Arya, Pavel, and Yusef returned to the shuttle in silence. Back on the ship, the crew quickly began studying the data core. The information inside was massive. It would take weeks, maybe months, to translate everything. But one file stood out. It had a star map showing not just this system, but others. And on the edge of the map, marked with dark red, was a region labeled in a strange symbol, the same. Triangle. The unknown Watchers had a name now, and they had territory. For the next 5 days, the crew of Horizon's Edge worked without rest. The alien data core was unlike anything they had ever seen. It held not only history and language patterns, but also warnings, clear messages about a hidden threat moving through the stars. The mysterious triangle symbol was a real group, not just a Watcher. The aliens had a name for them, translated roughly as the Quiet Dominion. According to the files, the Quiet Dominion did not speak, trade, or share. It did not invade with armies, but with silence. They watched, waited, and removed any species that grew too fast or reach too far. The ruined planets shown in the alien message had once been home to great civilizations. The Dominion had erased them without war, just quiet disappearance. Captain Arya Malik sat with her officers, reading the last file in the core. It was written in the aliens' translated language, mixed with human code. The message was clear. If you move quickly, you will be seen. If you build loudly, you will be judged. If you seek peace, you must act with care. The quiet Dominion does not forgive curiosity. Arya leaned back in her chair. The situation had changed. Humanity was not just in contact with a peaceful race. It had stepped into a quiet battlefield between the survivors and the Watchers. She knew Earth would not back down. Humanity was bold. They would want to expand, to learn more, to grow. But now they had a choice to make. The next day, the stealth ship moved. For the first time since its discovery, it changed position. It passed slowly behind the planet and released a single probe. The probe drifted toward Horizon's edge, sending no message, making no threat. Arya ordered a scan. The probe wasn't armed. It wasn't even recording. It was just there, watching. She spoke calmly to the crew. This is not an attack. It's a reminder. They want us to know they are still here. She didn't respond to the probe. Instead, she ordered the message from the peaceful aliens to be sent back, images of the destroyed worlds, the shared data, and the warning. The ship turned on its full beacon, making the signal public. Anyone listening in the system could receive it. Then, she did something bold. She sent a final message to the quiet Dominion. It was not a threat. It was not a challenge. It was one simple Fila video showing Earth from space. The planet's colors, its oceans and clouds. Then came images of life children playing, scientists working, artists painting, people helping one another. At the end of the message, Arya added one line: "We are not here to conquer. We are here to learn." The probe didn't move. The stealth ship remained hidden. Hours passed, and the probe powered down and drifted away. No signal followed. Number. Ship appeared. The Dominion had received the message. That was enough. With the first contact completed and no sign of conflict, Arya gave the order to return home. The alien ring sent one final image as they left it. Picture of a tree growing from cracked stone, a symbol of hope, back on Earth. The data from the mission would take years to understand. Humanity had entered a larger world, one where silence held power and peace came not from strength, but from understanding. There would be more missions, more choices, and more risks. But for now, Earth was still safe. And among the stars, the Cold War had not turned hot. Not yet.